Nikki Haley is now in the ring. She has announced, she made a video yesterday, I believe, basically saying she's running. And now that means that the Republican race has Trump and it has Nikki Haley. I think it's likely to stay with those two for a little while. So it's pretty interesting that Nikki Haley decided to announce early. Nikki Haley, you all know, she's the former UN ambassador under Trump. She's former governor of South Carolina. She was the first female Asian American governor. She was the first Indian American to serve in the cabinet. Hey, if she gets elected, she would be the first woman and the first Asian American to lead the Republican ticket. That's if she wins the nomination. Now, of course, she is a long shot to do that. Nikki Haley, by the way, in her video was very careful. She didn't mention Trump. She said nothing negative about Trump. By and large, she stayed away from criticizing Trump now. Now, she was critical of Trump in the immediate aftermath of January 6th, and I've talked about that. But here she focuses on the need for, as she puts it, a generational change, which is to say a new generation of leadership. And I think there is some sense that that is coming, that needs to come both in the Republican and on the Democratic side. Notice that in the House, for example, Nancy Pelosi has now, stepped down as the leader, and Hakeem Jeffries has taken her spot. As I think about Nikki Haley, and I like Nikki Haley, I also think that by and large, a good number of her comments on foreign policy are sound. She's sometimes called a neocon, but it's not obvious to me that she is. Let's look at some of the things she's saying. China and Russia are on the march. True. They all think we can be bullied and kicked. True. You should know this about me. I don't put up with bullies, and when you kick back, it hurts them even more if you're wearing heels. Little spin on the female angle there, but true. She also goes on to say, even in our worst day, we're blessed to live in America. She draws a contrast between America and these autocratic societies like Iran and China and Russia. And by and large, for all the flaws that we have here, and you know that I'm not really hesitant to point those out, the lines between the free and the unfree societies have become more blurred because of the actions of the Biden regime. But nevertheless, I would say still on the balance, true. Nikki Haley wants to, quote, rediscover fiscal responsibility, badly needed, secure our border, that's, of course, Trumpian agenda, strengthen our country, our pride, and our purpose. To me, that is an evocation. Well, it's an evocation of Trump, make America great again. It's also an evocation of Reagan. CNN took the opportunity to note Nikki Haley's entry into the race, but they said, here's the sort of full list of the potential Republican candidates, and I want to go down that list quickly and kind of comment on it. Of course, we know about Trump and Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley, I think here I would have to say at the beginning, is mainly going to get the anti-Trump early sympathies. I wouldn't say votes because nobody's voting anytime really soon. But you can imagine, for example, suburban women who are kind of allergic to Trump. Now, I think some of those women have come back into the fold. They're like, you know what? We don't care about the mean tweets. We want Trump back. Things were a lot better. The price of eggs and butter alone is a pretty good indication of the way in which our lives have changed for the worse. But nevertheless, there's going to be some residue of suburban women who are like, we need to have something different than Trump. And Nikki Haley becomes that sort of anodyne, that safe, that sort of reliable, more mainstream Republican, old-style Republican, somebody who is bridging the gap. Even though in some ways Nikki Haley goes, I'm the candidate of the future, I see strong hints of Reaganism in her. And that's also my concern about her, which is, does she realize that the landscape of American politics is different now? Ron DeSantis is on the CNN list as well. He should be. I think he would be the most formidable alternative to Trump. And in fact, we know that because the Trump people are treating him that way. Mike Pence, I think, going nowhere, although Mike Pence may well enter the race. Tim Scott, again, a nice guy, little too establishment-y. I don't think somebody with real national prospects at this stage. I just laugh off people like Larry Hogan, Chris Christie, Asa Hutchinson. Mike Pompeo, I think, is running. And by the way, Pompeo, Nikki Haley, these are people who've come on the podcast. I'll probably have them back to talk about various issues. I like Pompeo. I think that he does understand the foreign policy landscape very well. Now, I'm not so sure about the domestic, but I'm sure this is something that he's also paying careful attention to. Liz Cheney, ha ha ha. The idea that Liz Cheney, I mean, look, the fact that Liz Cheney got a massive thumping in her own home state, where she used to win by 70% plus, really tells you she's become persona non grata in the Republican Party. She's a case where she would be better off perhaps running in the Democratic Party, or more likely taking a job as the head of some liberal foundation or some liberal university. I think that's usually the left's familiar payoff for people who do their bidding, which is what Liz Cheney has been doing. But essentially, in terms of elected office, I think Liz Cheney has taken her career prospects, lit a match, and set them ablaze.